name's Sam Quayle. I do a series on YouTube called Who You Are Matters, and today I'm back with another one, and this time we're looking at the Bible and what it is, and the question of can we trust it? It claims to be the Word of God. Is it? How can we know? Well, let's get in the Who You Are Matters bit first. You matter so much that God has written you a letter. It's actually a love letter. That's what the Bible is. It's a love letter from God to us, telling us how much He loves us and what He's done so that we can be with Him. So let's have a look at, can we trust it, and is it written by Him? Well, it was written by men, but they were inspired by God. So they're written by people in different places, different times, different settings, all inspired by God. But is this true, and how can we know? Well, I've got a few points. There are loads of answers actually. I've just got a few points to make on this. The first one is that the Bible is based in real history, real times, real places, and a lot of them can be corroborated by archaeological evidence and what we know of history. So, for example, in Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, known as the Gospels, they're the first 4 books of the New Testament. They're set, as is the rest of the New Testament actually, they're set during the Roman occupation of Israel and the surrounding areas. Now, you and I both know that the Roman occupation was a real thing. At that time, it was about 2,000 years ago, and we know it stretched far and wide. I live in the north of England and we've got Hadrian's Wall near us. So, I can see the Romans were real and they were everywhere, and they were certainly occupying that region of Israel at that time. Also, the Gospels mention governors and rulers of the time, and we know from other sources that they were real rulers at the time. So, just reading here, there is a Roman writer called Tacitus, something like that, who wrote something called Annals in 115 AD. In it, he refers to Pontius Pilate as a governor of the area, and that he ordered Jesus executed. So here is a non-Christian writer, and he is confirming what the Gospels say is true. The Gospels say Pontius Pilate executed Jesus, and Tacitus is confirming that that is actually what happened. The Gospels also say that Jesus was crucified. And this again shows it's real, because crucifixion was a form of Roman execution. It's a well-known thing the Romans would have used. The Jews wouldn't have used that. If the Jews had executed Jesus, he would have been stoned to death or something like that. Only the Romans used crucifixion, which was a particularly brutal form of execution, which I think even they abandoned in the end. But again, it's a piece of evidence that shows the Gospels were set in a real time with real people in a real place. Jesus' life, another point here, was recorded by eyewitnesses. And there were always groups of people with Jesus, large groups, sometimes large crowds. Those eyewitness accounts, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, were then written and circulated around the early church. So even as close as 30 years from the actual time, they were being circulated. So people who were there for the actual event were still alive, and they would have spoken out if these witness accounts were wrong, but they didn't. And this leads us on to another point which people often use to say, oh, well, they can't be real then, that there are differences in the Gospels when they're writing about the same event. But that is the very thing that shows they're real eyewitness accounts. If you're in a court of law, and 3 eyewitnesses come and give their testimony, if they are word for word the same, all of them, if they're all the same, you know they're lying and somebody's written that. Because humans see things from different points of view, don't they? For example, say there's a car crash which has 3 witnesses, and perhaps somebody's on one side of the road, perhaps somebody's the other side down a bit and somebody else is somewhere else, they will all agree on the main point: the car crashed. But they will see it from different points of view. Perhaps somebody notices a cyclist coming along. Perhaps somebody notices the driver's face but didn't see the cyclist. And the third person notices completely different things. So in their statements, they will all sound a bit different, because when we are looking at an event, we see it from different points of view and different angles. So, for example, in the Gospels, in Matthew and Mark, there is the recording of the faith of the Gentile woman. A Gentile woman comes to Jesus to ask him to heal her daughter. That's the main point, which is both agreed on with Matthew and Mark. However, they do record it slightly differently. There are differences. But again, that just shows you Matthew and Mark were real people and they saw it from their point of view. That's what happened. It is an eyewitness account. So what about the Old Testament? I haven't said much about that. Again, like I said, it's all based in real history, real events and real places. And they're not made up places. It's not a fantasy world, it's real. Firstly, Jesus always held the Old Testament as the Word of God. So if you believe in Jesus and hold what he said is true, then kind of that's a good enough point, really, isn't it? Another factor, which I find so amazing, is the Old Testament is written over hundreds of years, different times, different people, different places, yet they are all completely consistent in how they represent God. It could be the same person writing it all. Well, yes, it is. It's God. And you can tell that because of its consistency in reporting of how it refers to God, how it portrays God, how it says what God is like, is consistent throughout the whole hundreds and hundreds of years span. Pretty amazing, I'd say. And then my last point today is that in the Old Testament there are dozens of prophecies speaking about what the Messiah will do and where he will be born and events surrounding him, and they all come true. Every single one of them comes true. Even things such as where he was born, which as a human none of us have any control over, yet the Old Testament states that the Messiah will be born in Bethlehem, a very specific small town, and as a human you have no control over that, but Jesus was born in Bethlehem. That's just one of dozens of examples. Only God can make that many predictions come true, and specific predictions as well. So yeah, there's just a few points. I've certainly found the Bible to be trustworthy and true, and a source of comfort and something you can base your actions on. So you may think, okay, well, yeah, sounds reasonable. I can base my life and my beliefs and my actions on it, but Sam, I have not got a clue where to start, and if I read it I don't understand it. Well, first of all, you're not alone. That is extremely common. Yeah, it's okay. There's help. First of all, pray and ask God to help you understand the Bible. Or perhaps I should have said, first point, get a Bible. I think I said in my last video I would recommend the NLT. That means New Living Translation. I find it the easiest and most straightforward translation in our contemporary language to understand. The English Standard Version, the ESV, is also a good Bible to get. Yeah, go back to my other video to listen a bit more to that. As I said in that video as well, the biggest help you will ever find in understanding the Bible is church. So please do everything you can to get to church, where the Bible should be taught and explained to some degree or another every single week or thereabouts. So get yourself to a church like that for your edification, for your encouragement and for your support. But also God gives the church the gift of teachers because he knows we need the teachers to help explain the Bible to all of us. Even I've been a Christian decades and there's still tons of it I don't understand, and I need a teacher to teach me. Though also I will be sharing more and more on this channel little mini Bible studies to help you all. Also, if you have a Christian friend, perhaps ask them to help you. Perhaps say, could you do a little Bible study with me? There are lots of good things online to watch as well, but yeah, my biggest recommendation is get yourself to a church if you can. And I'll again put the link to the church I belong to, that's New Frontiers. They're good Bible believing churches and they should be teaching the Bible every week. Anyway, I hope this encourages you to read the Bible. If you'd like some recommendations, I would start with the book of Mark in the New Testament. If you've never read anything from the Bible before, Mark, you can go to the beginning, the contents. It has a contents page. Can you see that? New Testament. Oh, can you see that? Matthew, Mark. There it is, and it will give you the page number. So you can look up any book in your contents and it will give you the page number. Anyway, I hope that was really helpful for you, and I will be back with another Who You Are Matters. So thanks for watching, thanks for joining me. See you next time. Bye.